Very bizarre, to say the least, but those of you who've seen my DVDs will already know roughly what to expect, although this will probably be more bizarre than normal. Just for those faces that I haven't seen before, can I just have a show of hands those of you who've actually seen any of my training DVDs before? Fantastic, just about everyone. Who's been to a live event before? Fine, good. So you already know I might be fucking offensive at some points. And if you are easily offended, fuck off now, because it goes downhill from here. You obviously read the sales letter. For those people watching this at home on DVDs, everyone here has got printed, you've got printed notes there. We will be referring to them this morning. That, believe it or not, is only for this morning, those printed notes. It's not for the full weekend, that's just for this morning. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, bloody hell.
What about the trees?
The stuff for the rest of the weekend is all on the DVD and CD-ROM that you found on your chair, which is yours to take away. For those watching at home, go on the CD-ROM and print out the stuff that says memory seminar notes, because you will need to refer to them at home. Okay, so before we begin, I would like everyone in the room to put down the handbags, the purses, and anything else you've got in your hands at this time in the morning. And if the women could do the same, that would be a great start. Fantastic. And what I'd like each and every one of you to do, this is a little bit different. As I said on the sales letter, there's one or two little things that have changed around over the years. If you've seen stuff similar to this on the DVDs or seminars before, there's just little tweaks, little things I've added over the past few years that some of you might find useful. So what I'd like you to do is place your hands out in front of you like so, okay? Interlock your fingers, the fingers of the left hand are against the back of the right hand, the fingers of the right hand against the back of the left hand, press your palms tightly together, thumbs down on top, and then what I'd like you to do, your middle finger, that's the one below your forefingers, okay? It gets more difficult as the day goes on. Just point them out like that, press them together, press your hand, fingers against the back of your hand, squeeze your hands together as tightly as you can and stare directly at the tip of your fingers like that. Keep staring directly at the tip of your fingers, and I'm going to count backwards from 3 down to 1, I won't count to 1. If you concentrate, as I'm sure you will, you'll find that your hands will be locked, glued, welded, cemented in place. And you'll find that on the count of 1, if you concentrate and use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, as I'm sure you will, that your hands will be locked, glued, welded, cemented in place. So on 3, it's almost as low. The fingers of the left hand are locking, gluing, welding to the back of the right hand. The fingers of the right hand locking, gluing, welding to the back of the left hand. On 2, it's almost as if that perspiration that now starts to form on the palms of your hands is turning into the world's strongest superglue, locking, gluing, welding, cementing them in place. On 1, stuck fast, tight together. But just to prove it to yourself, just try and separate your fingers. First of all, as you do, you notice that they just get tighter and stiffer, and the more you find it difficult to separate your fingers, the more your hands lock, glue, weld, cement together. Just try and separate those fingertips and notice how much more they just want to stick together, weld together, bond together, locking together, just locking your hands even tighter. Try and separate your fingers. Fantastic. What I'd like you all to do, put your hands above your head like this. Look at me. Fantastic. Hands above your head like that. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose, and then out through your mouth. In through your nose, and then out through your mouth. Just close your eyes for a few moments. Fantastic. Nice deep breath in, and out. This time I'm going to count from 3 to 1. On the count of 1, if you concentrate, as I'm sure you will, you'll find not only do your hands get tighter and stiffer with each second that passes by, but you'll also find that your arms start to get heavier and heavier. So it's almost as though there's a big bowling ball tied to your wrist, pulling your arms down, making them drift down, sink down towards your lap, as you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration so effectively right now. 3, heavier and heavier, almost as though your arms are being pulled down, almost as though there's a magnet on your lap, a magnet on your hands, attracting together, pulling your hands down, lower and lower and lower as you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration so effectively. On 2, with every breath that you take, every noise that you hear, every word that I say, every thought that you think, that bowling ball is getting heavier and heavier. Just allow your hands to sink down now into your laps. As you do it, just sends a wave of relaxation through every nerve, fibre, tissue and muscle in your body, from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers. That's fantastic. This just gives me an idea who to pick on in a few moments' time. And 1, getting heavier and heavier wherever you are. Just open your eyes. By the way, you'll find that you can separate your hands right now. Fantastic. Brilliant. Don't worry, your hands will drop off in about an hour's time. It's perfectly natural. I'm actually going to pick on you, if I may, darling. Right, stand up with your legs, your body will follow. Everyone will give you a round of applause. And your body. take a seat there now. Thank you very much indeed. And I'm also going to pick on eeny, meeny, miny, moe, hold a baby by the toe. I think we'll have Mr. Dodge for this. Give him a round of applause for next seat there, so that's fantastic. Okay, now, just for the sake of the cameras, or what you are seeing at home is exactly as it happened here. There's no camera tricks or editing or anything like that. It's just the fact that I met some of you before that I know people's heads. We've not set anything up, have we?
No.
No.
You did great, fantastic. So how do you know what we're going to do?
No.
You don't. Nah, that's look at that one then. I'll have to make it up as we go along. Have you ever been hypnotised before?
No.
No? No. Okay. Well, you've got to cooperate with me. It's up to you. Pointless coming up here. Well, I did pick on you, but it's pointless being sat there if you're thinking, no, you can't hypnotise me. As long as you give this a go, you'll be quite amazed at what you are capable of.
But I'm stubborn.
That's fine. So you can be stubborn and prove to yourself that you can do this. But like to put your feet on the floor, squarely, fantastic. Just put your hands sort of back in the position you were in before. That's brilliant. And just remember how it felt before. Put your hands back above your head. Fantastic. Just close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in. And then out. In through your nose, and out through your mouth. I'm going to count backwards from 3 down to 1. I may touch you on the shoulder. If I do, it won't bother you, worry you, or concern you. In fact, it will merely serve as a sign and a signal to help you use your powers of mind more effectively, to allow yourself to enter a wonderfully receptive state of mind, where you won't know quite how you've done what you've done, but you'll find that you can do it nonetheless. So 3, nice deep breath in through your nose, and then out through your mouth. And as those hands start to feel heavy once again, you may find that you want to just let them start to sink down into your lap and allow it to be a sign and a signal to relax more completely. If I should touch you on the shoulder, in that very moment, that very second, your hands will just get even heavier. So much easier to keep your eyes tightly closed at all times unless I say otherwise. And if I should touch you on the shoulder, it's just a sign and a signal to let those hands get heavier and heavier and heavier too. Also sinking down, drifting down. Imagining that magnet again on your lap. Imagining the magnet on your hands, attracting your hands down lower and lower. And as you let your hands start to sink down, drift down, it's just a sign and a signal that you can use your minds wonderfully and positively here today. Fantastic. Eyes remain tightly closed at all times unless I say otherwise. Take a nice deep breath in, keeping your eyes closed. Keeping your eyes tightly closed at all times unless I say otherwise on 1. Just keeping your eyes closed at all times unless I say otherwise. Taking a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. This is going to be very bizarre indeed, but in a few moments' time I'm going to tap you on the shoulder. You'll know I'm talking to you because I'll tap you on the shoulder to indicate that I'm talking to you. Everything I've said will instantly become 100% total reality for you. So, for now, keeping your eyes tightly closed, finding that the sound of my voice, any noises, any thoughts merely serve as a sign and a signal for you to enable yourself to enter the wonderful world of your imagination, your subconscious mind. Eyes remain tightly closed, but in a few moments' time, may awaken you, my darling. Eyes remain tightly closed, drifting down, sinking down, fantastic, drifting down, sinking down. In a few moments' time, when I awaken you, you're going to find you've got the most wonderful, amazing powers of telepathy. Mind reading, psychism, call it what you will. You won't know how you're doing what you're doing, but for some reason you just find that you can. All will become clear, but your mind is now focused. In the very moment I say, sleep, the very moment, the very second I say, sleep, as quickly as that, you just allow your eyes to close, you have your head to fall forward onto your chest, and you will instantly enter this state. But now, 1, 2, 3, you just open your eyes, sit up in your chair, that's fantastic. Eyes remain tightly closed, I'm talking to you in a few moments' time when I awaken you. You're going to find also that you've got wonderful powers of telepathy, mind reading, psychism, call it what you will. You won't know how you're going to do what you're going to do, but nonetheless you'll find it very amazing indeed. And the moment I say sleep, as quickly as that, a snap of the fingers, just allow your eyes to close, you have your head to fall forward onto your chest, and we enter this state. 1, 2, 3, just open your eyes. Fantastic. You can just rest for a few moments. We're also going to need the assistance of some people in the audience. What I've got here is a deck of cards. Well, you've probably guessed that, oddly enough. And because I was in a rush and did not bring the elastic bands with me, mutilated balloons. That's a free tip for you on the DVDs, they're wonderful. Makeshift elastic bands. And I'm just going to put them around there like so. Just to hold them in place. You'll see why in a moment, because I don't want to make a mess on the floor. I'm going to throw these out into the audience. Whoever catches them, what I'd like you to do is place the cards flat on your hand like so. When you get them, and then when I say now, what you're going to do is, you're just going to pull somewhere up like that, and look at the card you see. Simple as that. That makes sense? Fantastic. So, what I'd like you to do, because it's all about the people we use. So we're going to start with you, Robert, first. Take those cards, and just throw them out. You won't know why you're throwing them in a certain direction, but nonetheless, that's exactly where I wanted you to go. I will become clear. Just look at the card, remember it. Just remember it, fantastic. Keep that in mind. It's all about being honest later on. Throw them to somebody else, but both of you, look at the audience. Make that deck move in the direction you think is right. Okay, so on the count of 3, you focus where you think that should go. 1, 2, 3, just throw them to somebody else. Fantastic, put them flat on your hand, and just look at the card, remember it. Fantastic, remember that, keep that in mind. And one final time, okay, both of you, focus on those cards, where it's going to go. Throw them somewhere else. 1, 2, 3, now. Fantastic, flat on your hand, just look at the card, peek at it, remember it. Yeah, everyone got a card? And if you just like to throw those cards back up here. Brilliant.
Sorry.
No, it's fine, you can pick them up if you want. Save me telling you to. Thank you, we don't need that. Everyone's got a card in mind, yeah? Think of that card clearly. Have either of you got a mobile telephone on you?
Over there now.
Over there, it's alright, you can use this one. That is normal phone, please try that, you'll need that in a moment. Also be needing this pad and this pen. Do either of you know anyone who will be up at 10:30 in the morning on a Saturday?
Yeah.
You do? Somebody that you could ring?
Yeah.
Okay, what I'd like you to do then is, this is weird, I'd like you to ring them up right now, if you want, please. And just explain to them that you're at a show, an event, and they're going to talk very briefly to a nutter called Jonathan Roy, or Alex Smith, whichever name you wish to use. If she rings this person, I want you to just send that same energy that moved the cards around the room to the person on the end of that telephone line, Robin. As daft as this may sound.
Hello, Dad. I'm in the middle of a seminar at the moment, and we need somebody to participate, and it's you. What's he doing?
Fantastic! Can I, what's his name?
Dennis.
Dennis? Hi, Dennis. It might seem a bit bizarre, this. I'm going to put you on to your lovely daughter again in a few moments. What I'm going to do is, when I give you back, I'm going to give you first to your daughter and then to a gentleman who's also sat on stage next to your daughter. And I want you to say the first playing card that comes into your head, as daft as this sounds, when you speak to them both. So it's different cards each time, and they're going to write them down, and that's what we're doing. Yeah? Does that make sense? Fantastic, okay, that's cool. I'm going to pass you to your daughter then, that's number 1. Could you ask for another card as well, please?
Could you give me another card as well? Another card, yeah.
Name one, it doesn't matter what it
Yeah,
is.
you've got to tell me.
Just write it down, but don't tell anyone.
Okay, 1 second.
And finally, can you pass the phone to Robert, and could you get one more card off you?
Sure.
Use those abilities, you don't know how you do
Good
this,
morning,
but
Dennis.
we'll do it nonetheless.
How are you? I just need another card from Mr. Smith, please.
Can you just write that down without... It's
Are
fantastic.
you sure? Do you want to use that one? 100% sure. Okay, thank you. I'll get back to you.
If you just want to write that down, say thanks to him. And
Okay,
thank you very much,
thanks.
Dennis.
Bye-bye. Yeah, that's it. Bye.
Fantastic. And he's now sat at home thinking, what the heck's going on? I think it's fair to say there's no way on this planet I could have known who you were going to ring.
No.
There's no way I could have set anything up with your dad.
Oh no.
We'll spoke to him, you wrote things down. The people that looked at cars, could you stand up where you are? Okay? Brilliant. Now, if this works, it's just an experiment. Experiments sometimes don't work. If this works, I'd like you all to go mad with applause, because you won't know how you've done this, but somehow, if you've influenced it through your mind power, then we should have noticed something rather strange. There's 3 cards written down here that Dennis has named on the end of a telephone. Whereabouts in England is it, by the way?
St Helens.
St Helens. There's no way you can see him through the window. He's not outside, perched on the ladder, or anything like that. There's not a live video stream to him. This is weird. He's in St Helens. He's given us the name of 3 cards. You randomly chose cards. You directed them where they went. The pair of you. With your wonderful mind powers. Hopefully. I'm going to call out the 3 cards that Dennis gave us, okay? You can see them yourself. If you hear your card, I'd like you to sit down. If we end up with 3, well, 1 sat down would be bloody amazing, frankly. 2 would be fantastic. 3 would be a miracle. And you can tell me how you did it afterwards. We have got Jack of Clubs, 10 of Spades, 7 of Spades. If you heard your card, sit down. I don't know how you did it. Amazing. Yes. I just thought I'd start this morning with a bit of a truck. We're going to be going to the memory stuff at Atterbury, so you can time that. Be good towards pre-rec. Okay, I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you how that's done yet. No.
No.
I'm going to make you wait till later on today. You see if you can work it out for yourself as we go through the day. What I am going to explain to you lot is, you've probably seen the blocked hands induction on some of my DVDs before. And conventionally it's just hands together like that, suggesting the bonding together. Or it's the one that's guaranteed, hands above your head, and as long as you're in that physical position, it's pretty damned impossible to pull them apart. What I discovered by pure accident in a kid's magic book of all things, that there was a thing in it, oh, put your hands like that, and then they rubbed down the fingers and went, try and separate your fingers. Well, technically it's sort of physically impossible. But when I tried it out, I noticed, not only is it damned impossible unless you suddenly do something weird like pushing your palms together to make a gap with your fingers, to separate your fingers, but at the same time as you try to separate your fingers, it tends to push your palms together more, and the feeling that you get is that you can't separate your hands. So it makes you think, or the people you're doing it on, that the hands are actually looking together, because you've started off asking them to try and separate the fingers, which naturally pushes the hands back like so. Whereas if you just said try and separate your hands, people would naturally move from the back, like that, and unless they're highly suggestible, they'd just go, But because you've already conditioned them with the fingers which won't move, they tend to put the pressure on from the front to the back, which is pushing the hands together more, and because of the physical position it's in, means that the majority of people will not separate the hands. And as we know, they then come to believe, unless you've seen DVDs before, as many of you have, they come to believe that there's something weird going on in the mind. Same with the so-called induction, which we did on Mass Populous the group. The light and heavy hands thing that you've probably seen before, where on your right hand, middle finger, you tell them you've got a balloon tied to the middle finger, left hand, pile of library books going lower. I thought, well, combine the two. So rather than them separating their hands then doing an induction, you could do that with them up here, but I just thought it was easier to do it on your, because pretty much the majority of you had a greater or lesser response to that. After a while, that position becomes a bit knackering on the fingers anyway. I think you'll agree, it gets a bit sore. As that does on your shoulders, as it does on your arms. Basically, your fingers, your hands, your arms, because of the position your fingers are in, it's pulling on the tendons in your arms, it's generally making you feel, this is starting to hurt a bit. But oddly enough, when you lower your hands down, you're relaxing those. Naturally, physically relaxing those muscles and tendons. So the result is it feels like you're genuinely relaxing. So that's linked with your bollocks, or patter, or suggestions, and people come to believe that that's hypnosis, which should lead them along the path. Combining those two little elements together, I've found recently it gets people, I hate the word under, but gets them under, hypnotised, or reacting, or conditioned, or cooperative, call it whatever word you want, quicker. As to how the heck Dennis came up with those three cards, You'll have to wait till later on. Today,
He said about daft little things that I've not revealed before regarding inductions. Okay. Well, yesterday morning I went through how I put together the normal loft hands and literally just added that. Now, maybe not much to add, but the fact that that physically, as long as they hold down right, makes it practically impossible to open your fingers. The pressure of doing that does push your hands together, thus it amplifies the whole thing. And as we know, it's all about setting off a process where they believe one thing leads to the next, and so on. So they end up coming to believe that all this is leading to the logical thing of what it's supposed to be, trance, hypnosis, whatever, if you're a hypnotist. So it's really not a case of new techniques, it's a case of just tweaking them and adding things. And that is one of the major ones that I've been using, that because it is such a good convince when it saves doing an additional suggestibility test. Now I have explained what I'm about to do at a seminar, one seminar before, which a couple of you here were at, but it's never been videoed before. It was something, and the seminar it was at, there was only a very select handful of people, because I didn't have any intentions of telling anybody. Well, not in a demonstrative manner, it is in print to an extent. The reason for that was because I was using it. I have used it numerous times over the years. But given that, to cut a long story short for those that don't know, I have a degenerative back problem, and it's my belief that a hypnosis show, certainly on stage, should look dramatic, over the top, and even when I'm doing group events, I always like just being able to walk up to people, slip from back and catching them. Trouble is, every time I was doing that, I'm basically speeding up the process of how long it's going to be before I'm in a wheelchair. So I have actually stopped basically doing hypnosis shows, hence I'm not too bothered about admitting to using certain very devious techniques to guarantee to be able to apparently hypnotise just about anyone, anytime, any place, anywhere, in a manner whereby you end up looking really good. Once or twice it could get you, I'll give you, it does come with a bit of a government health warning this, because you're not too careful, or you don't have too much stage experience, or you're not totally confident in dealing with the public, it could get you hit. In a nutshell, it could. It nearly happened once to me, but fortunately it didn't. And all it involves is going back to basics. I'll demonstrate it, then explain. Okay. In fact, you're so intelligent in here, you're probably going to suss straight away how it's done. But bear in mind, you've arrived at a venue, or you're in a situation where you want to apparently hypnotise somebody, get them to do stage hypno type antics or whatever, without bothering to learn stage hypnosis. Now, I didn't come up with this through being lazy, I came up with this as a way to get round situations where the audience would have been complete and utter twats. Didn't want to volunteer, were noisy, there was no motivation for them, it might have been a surprise party where they didn't know a hypnotist was on or whatever. And what it involves is just a few, how many have we got? 3, I should have actually brought more than that to be honest, but never mind. 1, 2, 3, the stereotypical hypnodiscs. That you see, there's no moving parts, even how to put it. This is just actually one of those jumbo cards, cut up a bit, with that printed out off a computer and stuck on the front, which generous me are supplied you on the CD-ROM that you all walk away with at the end of the weekend, so that you can make up your own. It's not something you can go and buy as such, this size. So what I shall need for this, I'm trying to think, we're not going to obviously do a full hypnosis show or anything like that, because that would just frankly be ridiculous and a waste of time at the moment. I don't know, I'll pick on you at random if I may, Craig, if that's okay. Give him a round of applause, he's volunteered. And put that about there, health and safety. And we'll pick on Steve if we can. Yeah. Steve, give Steve a round of applause, comes to the front. It's just very important that for this, I know you're not particularly interested in being hypnotised, you don't want to do that, there's no motivation for it, if it was the example of a show, so how do we get for a cuntish audience who don't want to take part to do something? Or very quickly in an environment where it's too noisy, get them under. And what we would do is simply give you that. I want you to stare directly at your disc, okay? Stare directly at that disc, see it burning into you, just, yeah, that's brilliant, just keep it one direction, or stare at it, let it burn into you, keep that, just have that little bit more closer, stare at it, okay? Just keep staring at that, that's fantastic, I promise you that's what's going to occur. You will relax just so long as you actually stare at that disc, okay? Stare at it about there, hold it the other side, that's fantastic, just stare at that, I promise you that's what will occur. You'll start to relax more as you stare directly at the disc. Take a nice deep breath in, then out. In fact, I think at this point what I could probably do, if I touch you on the shoulder, you may find that your eyes start to close down. Take the disc and touch you on the shoulder, your eyes close down. Have your head falls forward into your chest, fantastic. And just close your eyes. Nice deep breath, drifting down, sinking down, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Keeping your eyes tightly closed at all times unless I say otherwise. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just so long as you listen to the sound of my voice, you'll find that over the next number of minutes that you will relax more, and as you do, you will be coming so much closer to that new reality. It'll be the end of the show very soon, and you'll feel really, really happy, because I promise I'll stick to my promises. I will not make you look daft. In fact, you are the stars of the show. So give them a round of applause as they relax more. I'm remaining tightly closed. Fantastic. And we could go on basically and do whatever, and at the end of it it'd be 1, 2, 3, you wide awake. Oh no, in fact it wouldn't, just sleep, close your eyes down, fantastic. Keeping your eyes tightly closed. You've got to wake them up at the end of the show, haven't you, or demonstration. Forgot about that, slight legal point. Even though they're not hypnotised. Yeah, you've got to wake them up. So I'd say I'm talking to everybody on the stage, or whoever you're dealing with. I'm going to count from 1 to 10. On the count of 10, you'll instantly be wide awake. Everything I've said will be completely cancelled out. You'll be your normal self in every way. 1, 2, 3, lighter and brighter. 4, 5, 6, 7, all that waffle. 8, and on 9, you should keep your eyes tightly closed for the next few seconds, realising one suggestion and one suggestion only will remain with you when you leave this stage. And that suggestion is that when you go back to the audience, you'll be convinced that I offered you £50 before the show to take part here this evening. The more the audience tell you this was not the case, the more convinced you will be that I actually did that. And 10, 1, 2, 3, you're wide awake. Thank you very much for getting up. Give them a round of applause to go back to the audience. Thank you. Thank you very much. Wide awake. Thank you. Go back to the audience. Thank you. Yes, I have used that many times over the years. Obvious questions to be asked. Does it work? Yes. Is it not possible you're going to get a grade A cunt who still will resist? The answer is yes, but very rarely. Because it's about giving them a motivation. And the motivation is that the discs that people actually end up getting say on them, please stare at this disc and do everything that I ask. Do as I ask, and after the show I will give you £50. Thanks. Right? For the average knobhead, who will be the person who's not prepared to sit, listen, look at a light, and do what you need them to do in order to be genuinely hypnotised. For the average knobhead, 50 quid is enough of a motivation to do what you ask them to do. Okay? Now, the thing is, I don't want to be giving, if you've got 5 or 6 people, say there were 6, I don't want to be giving 50 quid out to 6 people, which is 300 quid at the end. No, that's far better in my liver. So, it is conventional and fits in with any preconceived ideas people may have of seeing a hypnosis demonstration to awaken them safely, feeling better. And at the end, you just put in what seems like a comical suggestion, but you leave it till the very last minute, so if they suddenly open their eyes because they want to go, you twat, you've conned me, too late, because by that point they've done everything, okay, and they're going to look an even bigger prick if they suddenly open their eyes and go, you've conned me. They're in a very awkward position, psychologically. They may want to come and give you grief after the show. Fine. That's why you have a big bodyguard. Or you, frankly, get out the back door before, you climb out the window to be your dressing room. It doesn't matter. You get paid. But no, there is actually something really nice about this in a minute, I'm coming to, and that is that these people are told that when you wake up, you'll be left with one suggestion. You'll be convinced when you go back to the audience that before, and this is about phraseology, before the show began, you'll be convinced that before the show began I offered you £50 to take part here this evening. No. They were offered the 50 quid right in front of the audience's eyes. But they will agree that the audience will... The audience, it's your reality again, basically. The audience know for a fact, because the venue they'll have seen you've not gone up to these people, you have not offered them money before the show. So the audience know for a fact you haven't, so therefore it's a funny idea to the audience, or your demonstration crowd or whatever, that these people could end up saying he offered me 50 quid before the show, because they know, the audience en masse, the mass populace, know this is not true. The person here perceives it as, well, actually, you did offer me 50 quid before the show. Because by then, whether it was before the show or here is irrelevant to them. To them it's reality. To the audience it's reality that you didn't. When you say, however much the audience say that I didn't, the more you will be convinced that you did. So this means when they go back to the audience, they will be saying, that bastard stitched me up good and proper. He offered me 50 quid to take part. Okay? And the audience will go, no, he didn't. And the more he tries, or she tries to tell them that yes, he did, the more they will say, no, he didn't. They will be laughing at him, he will end up feeling inferior, the dickhead in the crowd, and will soon shut up. In the process of being the dickhead in the crowd, will also convince the entire audience you definitely did genuinely hypnotise them. And if some clever bastard, i.e. that was up, goes, it wasn't before the show, but it was. When we were up there, he had to stare at these discs and there was words printed on them. The audience would go, no, there wasn't, because I saw them all. Because you did, when you trace it back, you did see all the discs. And it doesn't matter how many you've got, or what size well, it does. They've got to be big enough for you, small enough for you to hold in between your fingers and thumbs. Whichever ones have words on, have one of them in front. And this is what they call the frustration count, or the optical count. But I'm not doing it as a magic trick where it may become obvious. I'm not making a point of saying, look, all these cards are different. I'm just casually, if you trace back or rewind the DVD, just saying what we're going to do is that age-old thing where we get somebody to look at a disc, and all I do is show you the front, turn them over, pull off the top one that's got printing on off into my hand, and show you that one again. And it's perceived psychologically that I'm showing you all the discs. And I do it again as I'm talking. Show you that, pull off the next one, show you the front. Psychologically it's remembered you've seen these discs. So even if they go back and say, well, what it is, it was printed on the disc, the audience will go, no it wasn't, they're even more convinced the person was hypnotised. The last one goes under the pile, so then you can casually take hold of them in that hand as you turn to these people, which is another psychological flash of it. You're not saying it's the fact that you don't draw attention to them, it's just you casually go, it's fantastic, we're just going to do that old thing with those daft hypnosis things, and person number one and person number two, what's going to happen is that we're going to hopefully help them relax, and you just make it part of your natural movements. This goes on the bottom, so everyone can see that. Obviously you give out to them ones with the words on, but you get them told it close enough to the chest that nobody can see the words, and you say, burn that into your mind. You say that quickly, you say, just be quiet, stare at this, burn that into your mind. Work with me on this. Work with me on this. In other words, play along. I promise you, if you stare at that disc and take a nice few breaths, that I will keep my promise, and you will relax more. The message you're trying to get across to these is, I'll keep my promise and I'll pay you 50 quid after the show. That's what you're reassuring them, right? That is why they will do it. To the audience, it's just like you're being a nice guy. So then you can, and if you apparently put them under, because from here on in they just do what you say, you obviously take the disc back off them and add it to the top of the pile. Now because I am lazy, and made these up last minute, I haven't printed out any more. But say you were using 4 of these, you were just going to get 4 people on. Okay? You'd actually have to have 5. You'd have 4 with the printing on and 1 with the front. I would also have 5 more printed that are just like that. And I would have them in my jacket pocket. So once I'd apparently put them under, I would take these blatantly and I would stick them in this jacket pocket so they can't get mixed up with the ones that are all printed like that. And near the end of the show, when there's a time delay nobody remembers, I would blatantly reach into this pocket over here and pull them out and go, you know, before we wake them up, I think it'd be nice to give them a souvenir. And obviously the faces of all these then are all like that, so you can blatantly show them. And you put one on each of the laps, and as you wake them up you say, take your disc with you. It's embedded in the audience's head even more that no, there isn't anything printed on the disc, because the audience will be convinced that they are the same disc. So on any angle, any level, they cannot reveal what has truly gone on. And to save you time, I printed out, there's loads of different designs for the disc on the CD-ROM that I've given you. There's loads of different of that wording, so you print the disc and then print the strip and stick it on top. It's ideal to get it so that it is positioned with a bit of black and white of the disc at the sides, so that when you're holding them face on, if they slip a bit as they did for me, doesn't matter, you're seeing disc, it doesn't go straight onto the wording, just a little touch there. And they're also already typed out for euros and dollars, because depending on where you're doing it, you know. And you can print it, they don't have to be this big, they can be printed sort of credit card size if you want, so you can carry them in your wallet. That means you can instantly do, I was going to say as good as, but in truth, using that technique, you can probably do a far better stage hypnosis show than most stage hypnotists can get away with, because the people on stage have got a total motivation to do whatever you want. The disturbed part about it is, and this is a true story, that after the show one time, somebody, they were right, they had looked at a disc with printing on. The one they had was a different one. But the audience kept going on, no, look, he gave you the disc you had at the start, we saw them all, they were printed like that, it's still printed like that. You're imagining, he said you'd end up hallucinating like this. You really were hypnotised, but it'll be fine, because he said you'll feel fine and this will wear off at the end of the night. And this can go on for so long, especially from a group of friends, that the person will come to doubt themselves so much that they become convinced they must have been hypnotised, and this is the side effect of having been hypnotised. And I know this can happen, because one guy came up to me and he ended up, I thought, oh, here we go, this is going to be the classic, yeah, where's my fucking money, you cunt? And it wasn't, it was like, I'm a little bit concerned, I'm like, everything's fine. Obviously, once the show's done and they go off, you even deny to them yourself that there was anything on the disc. You're part of the audience, in so much as, no, there wasn't anything. And it's like, I'm a bit worried sort of thing. What about? Well, I think I've forgotten a lot of what went on, you know. That state of mind, when somebody's in that state of mind, you've only got to look at them and go, slay! And they'll fucking go. And that's what I did. So ultimately he ended up being hypnotised, and so that he felt, because if I hadn't have paid him the attention, there was an element of risk that he could have worried, thinking that he'd been hypnotised when he hadn't, and could have come to believe that that could have been a bit weird because he was forgetting stuff, and could have then actually led to problems. So I did ethically need to give him that bit more attention. Alright, maybe perhaps unethically, the fact he'd gone under for real now, I did tell him that he'd remember to forget and forget to remember everything that had happened during the show. But the point is, this does work. It's not wholly originally my idea. A lot of the touches I've added to it are by flashing the cards to the audience in a casual manner, by switching them so they take them away, by putting the symbol together with the the wording, rather than doing it verbally off mic, because a gentleman called Robert Halpin, I'm led to believe, used to use this technique on hard nights at Glasgow Pavilion in front of 3,000 people. And he had a great reputation, but he did it verbally off mic. Just a fair mate, just play along, I'll give you 50 quid after the show. then you verbally on mic. So I thought, no, the thing with off mic queuing is it's great, but there is a chance of being overheard, there is a chance of lip reading, there is a chance of them not hearing you properly. With this, you can't be overheard, it embeds it in, and you can also verbally give it a second level of impact with the phrases like, I promise I'll keep my promise, to help you relax more. So it sounds casual to the audience, one reality, but what you're saying is, I promise it's interpreted by the person as I promise to give you 50 quid. So the idea of queuing them, I believe it was Robert Alpen's, or off-stage whispers have been going on for years, so I'm sure it predates that. The idea of having a message on the disc, like play along, there was a thing called Yorjip Hypnosis or something that Abbott's Magic Company in the States sell, but it was a disc that had a flap that flapped over and basically said, please on the count of 3 bark like a monkey. Which is weird, because monkeys don't bark. Yeah, it said bark like a dog at the other one. Anyway, you get the idea. I thought moving flaps could be seen from a distance. So I just combined it all together with my insights on magic, which is not difficult sleight of hand to learn. Show the front, face down, pull it off. Show the front, face down, pull it off. But adding the psychology of you're really not bothered about it, because we're just going to take this person over here and this person over here, and what we're going to do is a little bit of an experiment with the old disc. We're going to stare at it, and just stare at that. Hold it, stare it in your face. Yeah, brilliant, just keep holding that. Don't say anything, because I promise that I will keep to my promise to have you relax more. And you can even point at it like that. But you're pointing, as far as the audience is concerned, to say, keep your eyes on that, but you're not, you're anchoring to the idea to, I will keep my promise for you to keep your eyes on, I promise I will keep. You couldn't make it any clearer to the person. And then obviously you already now know how at the end you get away with not having to pay them a single bloody penny, in a manner where they can end up genuinely hypnotised. And that's what I call the secret hypnotic gizmo. Right, fantastic. I've actually managed to get through practically everything I brought on my table that I wanted to get through. Unfortunately, given the time it takes involved, I'm not going to get round to doing past life regression. However, on the CD-ROM that I gave you all, there is a complete step-by-step training manual on past life regression, and on the DVD I gave you is a complete past life regression performance. And basically what I do one-to-one past life regression is identical to the way I do it on stage. The only difference is there's more people there. So if you look at that manual and watch the DVDs that you get with the set, or that I've given you already, that's all you need.
Is that the 2 that you've given us?
Yes, yeah. Just referring back to the memory yesterday, is everyone a member of the Yahoo News group? Pretty much everyone, yeah? If you're not a member of the Yahoo News group, if you go to hypnotherapycourse.net, click on join the news group and join. From sort of tomorrow night on the files section will be some documents that Rachel put together for me, which are like grids for doing magic squares in, and like little, almost like mini exams for testing yourself on day for any day, square rooting and all the stuff we covered yesterday. So you can just go to the files section, download those for free, and it'll help you learn that stuff if you choose that you want to put that to use. So I've just got 2-3 more things to sort of run past you, and then I'm going to bring Frank on, who's going to tell you a little bit about a certain hypnotherapy approach that he uses quite successfully. When I've done this bit, that's essentially me done for the weekend, as it were. Keep an eye on the news group. I'm sure there may be another seminar at some point, but frankly, other than close-up magic, which is what I'm about to move into anyway, hence my new website, the name will be magicalguru.com.
Is that up now, or is it not up?
It's just no site there yet, but I've got it. Although by the time these DVDs go out, it'll be up. Other than that, frankly speaking, there isn't anything else I can teach people. Well, there is, if you come to me one-to-one, and I can spend time and attention with you on whatever it is you want to hold. Because I don't believe in charging people money to show up to events when, in the comfort of their own home, they can watch things again and again and again. I know people argue it's better personal, one-to-one, and that's what you want, fine. It's just that I am rather expensive for one-to-one, but you do get value for money. What you're better off with, and depending on what your particular area of interest is, once these DVDs are released, because you attended here live, I'm sure anyone who wants a set to refer to, because it will help, especially with the memory stuff, to refer to the DVDs and the notes, will be able to get a set for like next to nothing if you have a word with Pete, you know, just covering cost, production and what have you. But for the people watching the DVDs, that only applies to the people that are here now. If NLP is your chosen area, NLP and Hypnosis Exposed will teach you more than you would get taught spending £5 on NLP courses. That's not me being big-headed and saying that, that's the comment you will see on the website from people who took it, who were there, who've had the DVD since, who said, why did I spend thousands when I learned more in 2 days than I did in weeks and weeks? They'll be on sale afterwards. If you get these today, they're really cheap, otherwise visit hypnotherapycourse.net, where there's still excellent value for money, but somewhat dearer. If you want to learn about energy hypnosis, i.e. genuine hypnosis, putting people in real trance states, using very fast change work techniques, spiritual healing even, then the ultimate hypnosis set is the one for you. You'll also learn how to pull people over from a distance without any setup. If you want to learn the ultimate on the placebo effect and how to use it on stage, in therapy, mentalism, do hypno tricks so you look like some sort of psychic or what have you, lay people across chairs, burn their the body with a blowtorch, stick needles through them, or therapy or whatever, no such thing as hypnosis is the set. If you want to be a stage hypnotist, the 3D set, Secrets of Professional Stage Hypnosis, is definitely the one way to go. Magic Scene recently made comments that this is basically just about the best stage hypnosis training aid they've ever come across. Secrets of Professional Hypnotherapy speaks for itself, 2D set, but it's mainly my approach to complete mind therapy, which if you do a Google search on complete mind therapy, or complete mind therapist, or ACMT for Association of Complete Mind Therapy, you'll see there are now thousands of people around the world who are successfully earning their livings doing nothing but using the approach that is taught on those DVDs. So you soon get your money back. Confessions of a Hypnotist, that covers therapy for kids, i.e. less than the age of 10, using magic in therapy as metaphor, the huge section on Derren Brown stuff, which is completely different than any of the mind reading or mentalism stuff we've done this weekend, with further examples of how you can use that in sort of hypnosis, even in therapy and what have you. Psychic and cold reading carries on where we started this weekend, going on about fortune telling, but actual cold reading approaches, scripts. There is stuff on there about belly button reading and the daft stuff as well, but also the serious side. Treating celeb clients. This is a 2-disc DVD, 2 DVDs I should say, and 1 CD-ROM set. Yes, it is essentially complete mind therapy, which is covered on all the discs, but it's a totally different way of doing it. The same structure, it's just that when you're dealing with arrogant, head stuck up their arse celebrities who are addicted to drugs, alcohol, sex, and various other things, they're so used to yes people around them that quite often the only reason you've been brought in to get involved is because the manager has said you're getting sacked if you don't see somebody. So this tells you how to deal with those managers, how to get the clients that will pay you obscene amounts of money, how to handle it in such a manner to get over the resistance that these people will have, so that you actually end up getting results, so that the celebrity managers will use you again. It's invaluable training set, that. And perhaps most important of all, in terms of DVDs, is Secrets of Hypnotic Success. As Kennedy quite rightly said, you can be the best magician, hypnotist, psychic, call yourself what you will. If you ain't making money, or you're not making enough money, then what's the point? This is an 11-disc set, and all it is actual tried, tested and proven to work examples. I show you the press releases I put together. I show you the press I got as a result of that. How I got myself on television, how I got myself on the radio, how I ended up getting basically more publicity in British media on a national basis than any hypnotist in history ever has, with the exception of Paul McKenna, that is, respect where it's due, wonderful marketeer. But this shows you how I did it. And it's not rocket science. Anyone can do it to think outside the box and put these sort of techniques to use. And of course, the book, which basically does what it says on the tin. All of those will be available afterwards from Andy or Pete. But before we finish, I was in a magic shop the other week and I saw this. Now, I sold briefly, I don't have any in stock, but you'll see on your CD-ROM a training manual called the Hypnotic Rings. And it's how to use these hypnotic optical illusion rings. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're like it's a Masonic design. And if you turn the ring one way, it looks as though it's getting bigger. If you turn it the other direction, it looks as though it's getting smaller. Now these are manufactured by Fun Incorporated, www.funinc.com. You can get them there wholesale. Now the reason I say get them wholesale, you can buy just one of them if you want, but you apparently can only get the gold coloured rings from magic companies in England, off magicweek.co.uk. Whereas if you go direct to Fun Inc., they will sell you them before they've been coated with the gold colour, so you can have gold ones and silver ones. Because in the manuscript you've got on your CD-ROM, I show you how to use these by apparently giving them metaphors and choices. So silver could be negativity, gold is good. So you've got a choice of two rings. I'll show you how, because the ring's got this optical illusion. It's no moving parts, it's a ring you can wear. If you move it one direction, it gets bigger. You could anchor that they see visually with your confidence is increasing, for example. As it's getting smaller the other direction, you could anchor that with your relaxing, drifting down, sinking down, all that problems fading away. It's a complete training guide on how to use these rings. It's also got examples of how to use them in magic and mentalism, but mainly it's about how to use them in therapy. So I was in the magic shop and I saw this and I thought, what the hell's this? And I thought, Fun Inc. Oh, that's where I got the wonderful rings from. What is it? And I read it and I thought, nah. So I got the guy in the shop to den it for me. And instantly I thought, it's shit as a magic trick. But, if we combine NLP language and use it as a convincer, then this could be used to convince somebody that they've been deeply hypnotised when they perhaps haven't gone that deep. Okay? That's how I'm going to demonstrate it. Now for this, the guys on the camera may want to, at least one of you, zoom in very close to where my hands will be with the tube. But could I borrow you a moment, please? Just take a seat there. Sort of a reaction test. We'll pretend we've done some sort of induction, and I think you're not that deep and I want to really convince you further. So this is sort of a reaction test, because the more deeply relaxed and more hypnotised you are, the more we can play with your reactions, your perceptions, your beliefs, so we can help you achieve X, Y, Z. So your future pacing, so that when something weird happens, they come to believe that that means, you know, you get the idea. And all it involves is this tube, which is empty. I mean, you wouldn't be presenting this to a group. You understand this would be a one-to-one thing. So it'd be a bit different. You just give them and say, have a look at them. I'm just pointing out, it is just genuinely a tube. It is just genuinely a bit of metal that fits in the tube, which, for the sake of the camera, and also so you can see, if I tilt the tube, there's the little holes, you see it going past the holes, and then coming out the bottom, yeah? I'll do that again for the sake of the cameras. And it does come out the other end. The idea is to test your reactions. Now, when you're not hypnotised, you should just about be able to let go of it at the top, yeah? And get your hand underneath before it drops out. That's the idea, okay? You put it in the top, get your hand underneath before it drops out. Put it in the top like that, underneath, and more often than not, you'll catch it before it drops out. That's what I'd like you to try and do. So hold it however you want, place that in the top, and then get your hand underneath quick so you can... You've got it. we obviously need to just relax you a little bit more so that we can be 1,000,000% successful today and help you leave that used to be a problem in the past, future paced and whatever. So that when something weird happens, they come to believe that means that theologically they're going to be cured. Praise the Lord. So yeah, basically that's all it does. So at this point, I would then say close your eyes, relax or whatever like before. Yeah?
Yeah.
Fantastic. You'd wake them up after having said do something, because hopefully now you're at a state of mind where your reaction should be almost a little time slowed down.
Yeah.
Because when that happens, it will almost look as though time slowed down. Look at me, time has slowed down. Look at me, time has slowed down. Look at me, time has slowed down. I'm going to try and drop that. Catch it like before, but this time I'm going to touch my nose twice. That's not really possible, is it?
No.
But it is, if you're now in the right state of mind for us to be completely successful here today. Place it in there like that. 1, 2. Okay. Now just prove to yourself that you've altered your reality. Take hold of that. Place it in the top. And I reckon you should be able to even touch your own nose. And let go of it. You should be able to touch your own nose and catch it at the bottom. That's weird, isn't it? And yet all you do have there is that and a tube. And for the camera, it really does slow down dramatically. And then sleep, go into your stuff. It can be a really good convincer. And if you were doing it in a group, then you can hand it out and they can bloody mess around all day as long as they want. It's going to go all over the place like that, and you're probably going to lose it, which wasn't misdirection. Thank you, Linda. Cheers. Give her a round of applause. Good work. Tell you what that's again. You get this tube with it, and you get 2 of these metal things. One of them, forget which is which, will fall through the tube mega fast. Fast enough that you've just about got enough time to get your hand underneath. One of them's magnetic. It's the same size, the same weight, but the magnet reacting to this, whatever it's made of, tube, creates like a vortex which just makes it go slower. There's no moving parts. The only bit about it is that's the one they have originally. And at some point you've just got to switch it for that one so that they see that the time has slowed down, and at the end you've just got to switch it back. Now it gets sold as a novelty. Like that, you can get it on the internet or where you get your rings from. It's not something I suggest trying to make, because I don't think you could anywhere. It is as simple as what I've just said, but it doesn't come with instructions or anything like what I've just said. So bear in mind that you can use that. I think that could be it's what I've been playing around with for the past few weeks. That is brand new. It's not in any of my books, but I think that's got a lot of scope in terms of visually altering somebody's perception and having a profound effect on them psychologically.